over the next 4 weeks, we want to space out a closer look at the bond issues. And so the first 3 weeks, we're going to chunk out what's in the actual bond proposal. We'll start this week with buses, technology, and some miscellaneous things, along with an overview that Paul will give us. The second board meeting, we will look at the reconstructs of the elementaries. And then the third one, we will look at the improvements to the auditorium at West, the replacement of the auditorium at Central, improvements to the athletic fields at West, and a regional robotics center at West.
De-emphasizing the Performing Arts Center, simply and casually mentioned as the replacement of the auditorium at Central. What happened to the glamorous centerpiece of this bond proposal, demoted to barely a mention?
I have a question for Paul and for Steve, I guess. We've talked a lot about what TCAPS needs from this bond referendum. What are we asking the family up on 11th Street with 2 kids to pay? They've got a $200,000 property assessment. What are we asking them to sacrifice on an annual basis?
You want to answer?
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I'm drawing a blank on the math in my head.
$80.
Yeah, $80. Right, $80.
$80
per year,
annually for a
put
period
it
of
into an average amount.
Yeah.
Right.
So take the average based on the recent equalizations that were done. It's about $60 and some. It's about $61 a year on a family that owns the average home based on the equalizations. Most recent equalizations for our school district, it's about $61 a year.
Yeah.
It's actually just under that, I think.
Is it worth it? And obviously we all think it's worth it. But I think that's an important point to keep reinforcing. No matter what the $100 million stands for, what we're asking you to do is to sacrifice or pay, invest in TCAPS to the tune of $60 or $80 a year for a period of 10 years, 12, whatever.
I do not have a detailed estimate. Over the next 5 to 7 years, we will need to replace a significant amount of infrastructure, roof systems, the envelope systems of the building. There are mechanical systems that are reaching the end of their useful life, and even some of our electrical distribution and wiring is coming to a point where we have old Romex wiring and different things in the building. So a significant amount of monies will need to be infused into the buildings in the near future. We recently replaced, just informational, a small section of Eastern's roof over the old stage because literally we were pouring water into the building of that. So that's probably $8 to 10 grand that we spent just to do a Band-Aid patch. But those type of things will become more prominent as we move forward.
If roofs are in such disrepair on school buildings, then why weren't these emphasized earlier on? Why now? With hardly a mention of the Performing Arts Center, it's as if it's been hidden in the minutia.
Well, we can't. Projector's not working, so we're not going to show that. Okay, I was just going to show one of the items that we're showing it now at the some of the presentations we make relative to the Central High School project, the comprehensive project that's going on there, which includes the entryway, the commons area, the movement of the main offices to create a better security environment for the students. We have kind of a visual of that we have as a fly through. So maybe some of you have seen it. It will be part of our board presentation in 2 weeks at our next board meeting. So that board meeting is going to be an important meeting to where we're talking about the secondary projects. We've covered the basics of the bond issue, basically the yearly allocations, technology, bus replacement, the operational equipment. We've covered that in a board meeting. We covered the elementary impact. The next board meeting will be to talk about the secondary impact, and it's going to be a very important meeting. And we're going to make sure that we do a press release and we make sure that the media outlets know about this meeting and know that we're going to be covering it. It'll be a good place for folks to get some great detail on that aspect. It's a small aspect of the bond. We have to remember we have a comprehensive bond, but certainly a lot of questions have arisen relative to that. So we'll be doing that at the next Board of Education meeting. Other than that, I think that
I was just going to mention I have it. I can stand up here and hold it if you want to see it.
I think so. Why don't we put that off until after, if you want to take a look. Something that we can't show to the
Okay.
to the public on there. So if you want to see what we have there, Paul can show you after the meeting.
No mention of the Performing Arts Center, Auditorium Reconstruct, or Central Auditorium. But there was the comprehensive project at Central High School, wink wink. This all sounds familiar, almost like I've heard this before.
Couple points in there. One, the $26 million is the entirety of the project. So it's misleading to suggest that's the total cost of the auditorium. It's the total cost of the Central High School project.
Several times in earlier meetings, $26.5 million was mentioned as the cost of the Performing Arts Center.
We've talked about this in the past. As we talk about the size of the Central High School auditorium and the need for 1,200 seats, my argument has been that a facility like that is not scalable, that you need to make a determination of what the future holds or what your future needs may be, and you build to that because you really can't go back and add on. I mean, I can't add 100 seats a year just to get us up to.
Megan?
I had a couple of questions. One was just getting kind of basic numbers as we talk more about this overall project at Central High School as opposed to the auditorium alone. It's a big difference and a shift in that conversation. So just the size and scope of that commons area, I mean, I'd love to know, is it 4,000, 5,000, 8,000 square feet? Just a rough
we can have that.
Well, and it's part of the reason, Steve, that we've all tried to morph backwards into calling this an auditorium, because that's really what it is. And if we want to talk Performing Arts Center and more of a community-based facility, that's a discussion for down the road that all the community members ought to have. And we don't really have partners in this. This is our project that we have to fund, at least through this bond referendum.
It sounds like a couple people didn't get the memo. You were supposed to use Central High School project. You know, the comprehensive project going on there. One last thing to leave you with. If you take one piece of information into the voting booth from this presentation, then let it be this.
I mean, in 2004, we could have said, and we did, that a lot of our facilities need to be redone. We need to do them all. So let's go for $250 million, or whatever it would have cost. We didn't do that. We went for a smaller bond issue and another one in 2007, and have put this plan over the course of about, I guess when it's all said and done, we'll have gotten to every building that's an old facility in about 18 years.
Rewriting history? Traverse City Record Eagle, April 27th, 2004. The headline read, TCAP's board okays putting debt millage issue to vote. Elementaries would be upgraded first. Paul Soma said, quote, in 10 or 11 years, we are going to have excellent facilities and not have our hands tied by an outrageous millage rate. Unquote. Well?
And, it sounds like a long time, but we're already 8 years or 10 years into that. I mean, we're halfway there.